The DJI Action 2 is here, and it's pretty wild. First things first, DJI did send me this product free of charge so I can review it for you guys to watch, but I'm gonna be honest with my thoughts and opinions on this adorable little cube. I'm Zach Mayfield, let's just dive in. So we're gonna start with the specs and the new stuff first. As we do here, we gotta start there and then get into the good stuff. But there are timestamps below if you feel like skipping around in the video. So what are the specs that you actually care about? This puny little camera shoots in 4K up to 120 frames per second. It also does 1080p full HD all the way up to 240 frames per second. And it's looking pretty dang good. The max FOV you're gonna get with this little camera is 155 degrees, which is plenty wide, and that is on an f2.8 lens with a 1x1.7 inch sensor. One of my favorite features about this new little cube is it has 32 gigabytes of internal storage. Super exciting. So basically, if you max out the quality settings on this camera, in 4K from 24 up to like 30 to 48 frames per second, you're gonna get about 29 minutes of record time. And then in 4K 60 up to 120, you'll get about 26 minutes of record time. And there's also the option to put attachments on this modular design, and on these attachments are micro SD card slots so you can expand your storage. We're gonna get into that more later as well. And last but not least, there is the new Horizon Steady and Rock Steady electronic image stabilization 2.0. Horizon Steady does what it says. It keeps your horizon level when you're rotating the camera left and right like this. And then Rock Steady 2.0 is the image stabilization that is gonna keep your footage smooth when you're out riding dirt bikes or whatever you're gonna do with this little thing. Let's talk about the new build and the design of the Action 2. Right off the bat, we can tell that this thing has a fresh coat of paint. It's this kind of gunmetal gray aluminum alloy style body, and it's all magnetic and modular. It's a really neat system. This modular design allowed them to keep the camera very small. So it's about the same size as your typical Apple Watch, which is crazy tiny. And because of the modular design and the magnetic components, you can attach modules to the main camera that expand its capabilities. There's two main ones that you can attach. The first one is a front-facing kind of vlog screen, but it also gives you extra battery life, which is really neat. So it allows you to control the camera while having it face you, so you don't have to guess and you're not accidentally tapping things on the back of the screen. And then the second main one is just a straight up battery pack module, and I think you can guess what that does. You can charge it up and then plug the camera into it and it will recharge the camera. You can go keep using the camera while you're recharging the battery module and just keep doing that over and over. Or you can leave the battery attached to the camera and get longer battery life. It's simple but effective. The little camera module itself is waterproof up to 10 meters, which is really cool, and it was very fun taking it into a pool the other day. But the front screen and battery modules are not waterproof. There is a separate waterproof accessory kit that you can buy for these modules so you can take those underwater. And with that case, you can go 60 meters down. So if there's any scuba boys out there watching this, bro, you guys are good to go. On the body of the main camera unit, there are no ports. There's not a USB-C port or an SD card slot. And my guess is they did that to keep it waterproof and really compact. So if you want to plug in your camera to charge it or connect it to your computer, you have to attach one of those base modules with it. But I mean, it's really easy. All you do is, do this. So
plug it in, you're good.
And then you get the benefit of the micro SD card slot to expand your storage if you want to record for longer periods of time. The thing you have to be careful of is your SD card speed. Make sure you get one that's plenty fast, otherwise the camera will warn you saying that it might stop recording due to the quality or the speed of the SD card. And then to offload your footage and mess with it, you can either plug your module into your computer and just rip it straight from there, or you can connect this camera to the DJI Mimo app, which unlocks all of those app functions, or you can mess with the footage in the app, trim out your little clips, or just save things onto your device. Then you have this magnetic necklace, and yes, this is like my 7th time recording that because it's very hard to say. And the necklace is very strong, like don't be deceived, it's not like the iPhone MagSafe that just falls off. It's actually very sturdy, unless you're like swinging it around your neck or something. Don't try that by yourself. It kind of like holds the camera itself to your chest. It's not gonna like bounce like crazy unless you're running. But if you're just walking around, it stays pretty steady, and then the internal stabilization in the camera keeps things looking really smooth. But what I found about this camera is it functions very well without any accessories. Because it has a magnetic base, it's easy to clamp onto random things like your doorknob or anything metal. And you can get some really interesting shots because it's so stinking tiny, you can just fit this thing just about anywhere. You can use the accessories if you're getting very specific shots, but don't feel like you have to use accessories to get cool shots. This thing is very versatile just how it is. Okay, now let's talk about the footage. What do I think about the footage? Do you guys trust me with footage? I'm doing my best here. Honestly, I'm really surprised at how good the footage looks from a tiny camera like this. And the fact that it shoots 4K up to 120 and doesn't look like a super crappy smartphone sensor is just awesome. Honestly, I was blown away at the quality of the footage, especially when you feed this camera enough light. If you have it indoors and it's really dark, it will suffer because, I mean, small sensors just have their limitations. But if you give this sensor plenty of light, the images look really, really good. Now, if you wanna get really spicy with this camera, you can set it to full manual. You can have manual exposure, you can dial in your custom white balance, and you can change the color profile to de-cine-like, so you can actually experiment with color grading and things like that. Now, my personal opinion is that shooting with the normal color profile and automatic white balance and exposure is still gonna get you wonderful results, especially if you're just doing things for fun or you're not using this camera in a highly professional setting. It's nice that you have all those manual options, but I love the results I was getting with just auto white balance and exposure and the normal color profile. It looks really good out of the box. And now let's talk about the function. It's great to have good image quality, but if it doesn't function well, then it's not gonna be fun to use. So let's get into that. The OLED screens look great. For how small they are, they're looking good, and you can dial in the brightness with the menus. The touch zoom function, I wouldn't really use that much, but it's kind of funny to mess with.
How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?
And it's really surprising how well the touchscreen works even after you've dipped the camera underwater. It wasn't like finicky how sometimes when you're like trying to use your phone after using the shower, it wasn't like that. It worked pretty well. The built-in microphones on the camera unit are solid. It sounds really good for a small camera. This is so freaking puny, but it's amazing. And if you pair the front screen module with that, you actually get 4 total stereo mics.
When making a pepperoni pizza, the first step is to make it.
One thing I noticed is that the camera did get kind of scratched up on the body itself, like around the lens element, but the lens itself has no scratches. Now, me and my roommate were kind of roughhousing with it a little bit. I kind of dropped it in the bottom of the pool and was trying to find it with my feet. It will probably get dinged up over time, but I mean, it's an action camera. It's made out of aluminum alloys, so it should be good to go. Depending on the environment you're shooting in, the camera will get hot pretty quick. I wanted to test the continuous recording of this camera, so I set it to 4K 120, maxed all the quality out. We're shooting in pro mode, and after 3 minutes of continuous recording indoors, it did start to overheat. But there is a setting in the menus where you can actually change when the camera starts to overheat. So I set that to high instead of standard. Basically, that means it's gonna allow your camera to get even hotter before it gives you an overheating warning. The best way to use this camera is in burst shooting. So you're going for clips. You're not really setting it down to film yourself like this for 45 minutes. There are other cameras that are really good at that. This camera is gonna be really good for high quality burst shooting. And the idea of these magnetic modules was executed extremely well. These things are very firm, but they're not hard to pull apart. They have this nice little clamping design, but then when you do put them together, it snaps together really easily. It guides them into place on its own, and it just works really well. So I'm really pleased with how they designed this. For a while, it kind of seemed like smartphones were gonna overtake the need for action cameras, but it's cool to see that this camera kind of fits in its own zone, and it's ultra portable, like way more portable than a phone even, and it can go way deep underwater. It's got the 4K 120, 48 megapixel sensor. It's really exciting. So make sure to like this video because today and today only, 1 like equals 1 Action Camera 3 that is edible and made of cheese. Subscribe to become a subscriber and join our Discord server, the Zachy May fam, to become an honorary member of this family. Thanks for watching my silly little videos on the internet. I love you so much. Text me when you get home so I know you're safe, and I'll see you in the next one.